Hello, welcome to the THC Show. I'm your host, Neil Magnuson. This is a show where we talk about THC, truth, hope, and change, and how that affects THC, the magical vapor cannabinoid from the cannabis plant. On the show today, we'll have 8 out of 10 Glenn from CannaMatch.ca join us for the 420 session as always, and we'll take a visit out to the Healing Wave CSP Ganja Mobile and see what's going on there. Yes, we're still in the Ganja Mobile. Things have not changed drastically over the last week at all. Other than the Blue Door has now been shut down permanently by the CSU. From the threats that they made against them, they decided they would no longer force the issue. So we are still living in a very oppressive state. We are still living under very oppressive laws with respect to cannabis and other plant medicines. And that's just what we're reporting again. Week after week after week, we're reporting that we are being oppressed by bad laws and corrupt politicians and the corporate influence on our lives that certainly makes us not free. We are not free people. If you think you're free because you believe the rhetoric of the prime ministers over the last number of decades, well, you've been fooled and you should really rethink it. We are absolutely not free. In fact, we are so not free that recently the government has allowed a handful of people to access psilocybe mushrooms, but they're dying and they're suffering from, they can't not die now. So they're going to die shortly now. And so now your overlords, your rulers are saying, well, for a handful of those people, we'll let them see if using mushrooms would help them in any way. You know, we've got decades of anecdotal evidence. There's even studies, lots of them, that show that mushrooms are reliable for all sorts of things in treating depression and anxiety and other things, addiction for sure. And here we've got a government that says, well, a handful of people who are dying can try it. These are things that grow in our backyards, in our front yards, and in our parks all across Canada. They're everywhere. They are things that people have been using for thousands and thousands of years. There is no serious health implications from using magic mushrooms or psilocybin or the psychedelics for that matter. There's no hospital wards full of people that have gotten in trouble because they took some of those. Well, there's people who eat the wrong mushrooms and end up in hospital and not doing well. But it's not too hard to figure out which are the right mushrooms to take. And it's really not the role of public servants to be denying access to the free masters that are supposed to be occupying this country. But we obviously are not free at all. If you can't use some mushrooms when you're dying without permission, yeah, we're not free at all. I remember a gentleman that came up to me when I was in Edmonton doing a protest outside of the city hall there back in 2006 on the Freedom Tour. And he says, buddy, I got 6 months to live and I'm smoking some crack. What do you say about that? I said, buddy, if you got 6 months to live, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want as long as it doesn't involve hurting other people. And in fact, it shouldn't matter that you got only 6 months to live. We could all die tomorrow. Who knows how much any of us have long to live? We want to try something to help us feel better, to have a bit of an adventure, to learn. You got a public servant denying you the ability to do that? I think they're misnamed somehow. I think we should really, if we're not going to reset our dumbocracy and get these abusive authorities out of our lives, then at least we should have called them what they are. They're not servants. We're not free. If we're not going to reset how things are done here, we should at least reset the language that we use to describe things. We do not live in a free country. This country is free for the Prime Minister, period. He's the only one who gets to do what he wants without any repercussions. Seems anyway. The rest of us do what he says. We're free to obey. If that is okay with you, then, well, have a nice day. If you don't like being just free to obey, then you should probably figure out what we can do about that. Because it ain't going to get any better if people don't do something about it. It's only going to get worse. They're not taking less power every day, giving back a little bit every day. They're taking more power every day. We are becoming less free every day. And these people don't care about us at all as human beings. They care about being the big boss. They care about having lots of money. But they don't care about human beings. If the powers of this country cared about human beings, then we wouldn't be still waiting for a license from Health Canada for permission to be able to run a program where we give out cannabis high-dose edibles to save people from addiction and the quite likelihood of an early death from the tainted drug supply that's out there in the world. We're not free here. We're not the least bit free here. We might be freer than somebody else, but if you can't access mushrooms and cannabis plants and whatever other plants you want to try to help yourself or to try to have an adventure or just to learn about them, then you're not free. So stop thinking you're living in a free country and Canada's all this great democratic free country, because it's not. And we learned recently over this last little while with a bunch of good Canadians that decided to protest the authoritarianism that was going on in this country and how they were treated and what our Prime Minister had to say about them and what he did with them. There's still some of the organizers in jail. There's still bank accounts that are frozen and stolen for protesting, for just wanting to be heard. Those people went to Ottawa to be heard. That's what they went there for. They got there and found out that nobody was going to hear them. So they stayed. They got frustrated because they wanted to be heard. All they got was a bunch of media twisting of what was going on. We got, reports that weren't true. We got all kinds of slandering of good people, and that frustrated them. So they decided to try to make a bigger point. And that's exactly what the government wanted them to do. That's exactly why the government did not hear their concerns, why Mr. Trudeau did not come out and at least appear as though he was going to listen to what their concerns were and then give some sort of a reasoned answer that would be acceptable. He didn't do that at all. He went into hiding. And from hiding, he starts talking about how these people are Nazis. Nazis? These are Canadians, truck drivers, good, hard-working people. There was one truck driver that had a Nazi flag on his truck attached to a picture of Trudeau, because he's the one who was acting like a Nazi. But these are sophisticated, clever people. They twist everything around. They've got the media telling you whatever they want them to tell us. So the media doesn't tell the truth about that. The media keeps talking about Nazis. Trudeau says that we're un-Canadian. The people that wanted to talk to the Prime Minister about authoritarianism and mandates that were ruining their lives, not allowing them to do their job, forcing them to take some sort of an experimental chemical into their body by force. And they weren't happy about that. And they get called un-Canadian. Un-Canadian. Maybe Canadians are a little bit apathetic and don't get too excited about too much, and we're a bit of a peaceful people. But it's not un-Canadian to protest about our government. That's been going on for a long time. Maybe all the people that use cannabis and aren't happy with the laws against cannabis, maybe they're all un-Canadian too. Maybe they're all a bunch of Nazis too. Are you a cannabis consumer? Do you think you're a Nazi? I don't think so. I don't think we have a problem with Nazis in this country. I think we have a problem with public servants who don't know their role, who think that they can bully us and tell us what to do, and we're just going to obey, and if we don't, well, they're going to put us in jail, or they're going to seize our bank accounts, or both, plus more. In the cannabis community, we've known that the government is capable and willing to ruin people's lives to maintain cannabis prohibition for decades. In small-town Canada, you are really afraid of your police there if you're using cannabis, and have been for a long time. I traveled across Canada numerous times, spent 5.5 months on the road 4 times in a row on the Freedom Tour, getting to meet Canadians that consume cannabis. And those Canadians in small towns across Canada live in fear. They live in fear. Because everybody knows everything about everybody in small towns. And if you've got a little garden growing, pretty good chance you're going to get busted with that. So people in small town Canada, they learned a long time ago, you don't tell nobody. You do not tell anybody. Many of them told me, because I would arrive in town, an activist from Vancouver trying to get cannabis legalized, and in private, they felt comfortable telling me that they used cannabis, but nobody knows. School teachers, politicians, police people, all told me that they use cannabis, and nobody knows, because they're afraid if anybody ever found out, they'd lose their jobs, they'd be ridiculed in the community by people that don't think cannabis is a good thing because they bought into all the decades of reefer madness that are still going on today. We are not in a free country. If you're a cannabis consumer, you've known that for a long time. If you're new to protesting, you're just finding that out. But we've known it in the cannabis world for a very long time. We are not free. In fact, freedom is the thing that I fight for. I'm not fighting for the right for people to use cannabis to get high. Although I fight for the right of anybody to use anything they want, to be any way that they want, as long as they're not hurting anybody else. But I don't like not being free. I kind of liked the idea as I was growing up of being told about what a wonderful place this was to live, how free we were, that we had public servants that we paid to care about our interests and to keep us safe. But it turned out that wasn't the truth at all. As I grew up a little more and got a little more experience about what was going on, I found out that, well, you're free in Canada as long as you obey, or if you don't get caught. But you're not free. You're not free to go pick a mushroom out of your front yard and ingest it to see if it might help you with your headaches or with your depression or who knows what. You're not allowed. You're not free to do that. You're not free to grow a little plant, a beautiful little plant that produces these nice little buds that have resin glands all over them, filled with chemistry that matches the exact chemistry of our own bodies. And our bodies use that chemistry to deal with all the different problems that happen in the human body. It's the endocannabinoid system. That's what they had to name it when they discovered it. They discovered it because they were trying to prove that cannabis didn't have any medical value. And instead it had lots of medical value, more than just about anything else, because the proliferation of cannabinoids on the cannabis plant make it the most medicinal plant on the planet for human beings and other life forms. All other vertebrates have that same endocannabinoid system. That's why cannabis heals dogs and cats and other animals the same way as it heals us and helps us. So we are far from free. And the United States drives all of this, of course. That's where it all started. That's where it all ends, basically. There's some 39 states now that have medical cannabis allowances for people, that have stores that people can access medical cannabis through. There's 15 or more states that have access to cannabis for just anybody that wants to use it, as long as you buy it from government sources. And yet at the federal level, it's still a Schedule I drug that produces large penalties for people that are caught having it, using it, selling it, growing it. At the federal level, it is still a serious crime. So now they're maybe going to change that. I wouldn't hold your breath. But there is a bill that has now been passed through the House. We talked about it on last week's show, that would allow for government-controlled legalization. They're still going to have enforcement on non-legal cannabis production. In fact, they're going to have federally imposed taxation on the sale of cannabis and anything to do with trading in cannabis. So obviously anybody that is outside of that cartel is still going to be looking at harsh penalties and all the rest of it. We are not free, folks. We are not free at all. 39 states. That's a lot of states that have said the federal government is wrong. It's not a Schedule I drug. It does have medical value. Millions of people are using cannabis for its medical value. Millions of people will tell you that it helped them in profound ways, from people who couldn't sleep that found relief, to people who were addicted to drugs that managed to get off them, to people that have pain that managed to get distracted from that pain, to people who have mood disorders and depression and anxiety that find happiness and calmness and peace in using cannabis. That's all medical. That is all medical. Not to mention that it first and foremost is an anti-inflammatory. That's the biggest thing that's wrong with animals and humans on this planet is inflammation. And cannabis is a great anti-inflammatory. One of the other great things about cannabis is it doesn't have hardly any side effects that are troublesome at all. You look at the synthetic replacements for plant medicines that are touted by pharmaceutical companies and have a look at their side effects. See what happens when you isolate compounds, synthesize them, manufacture them, and put a bunch of other things in there and end up with a whole bunch of other problems. You're trying to address this problem, now you got 3 other problems. But don't worry. We have other pills for that as well. A whole bunch of pills. In fact, if you let the pharmaceutical industry have their way, by the time you're an older human being, you got a whole box full of pharmaceuticals that you're taking every day, this one, that one, the next one. Your brain is mush. Your bowels don't work. Your stomach's upset all the time. You don't feel human. Thick as a brick. That's the pharmaceutical answer to whatever ails you. Is keep taking their pills, then keep taking the pills that deal with the side effects of their pills until you got a whole shoebox full of pills to take every day, like so many of our elderly people are dealing with. At great expense. Sometimes at great expense to themselves. But most of it's covered. It's quite a scheme too, isn't it? Pharmaceutical companies get the government to give them tax dollars to cover pharmaceuticals, because if everybody had to pay for those pharmaceuticals at the price they want to charge, well, we wouldn't be able to afford it. So we take a little bit from everybody so that people that need to have a shoebox full of pharmaceuticals can afford it. We are living in dangerous times. That is what I do know. And we need to do something about it. We can't just take this. We can't just accept what they give us and say, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it, because they're going to keep taking more all the time. They're going to keep infringing on our rights and our privacy and our bank accounts all the time. It's going to continue. And if we don't do something about it, it's going to be left to our kids to do something about. And maybe it'll be too tough by that time. Certainly if it goes another generation, I don't think we got a way out. 419. Roll them if you got them. We're a minute away from our 420 session. So think about these things. Think about whether or not you want to live in a country where you're free to obey, but not free to access a mushroom in your front yard to help you feel better during your times of not feeling good, or to access a plant that is well known for millennia through hundreds of cultures around the world to be one of the best medicines that there is, that comes with one side effect that isn't harmful at all. In fact, it's wonderful. Euphoria. You're dying, you're sick, you're miserable, you don't feel good. There's a medicine for that called cannabis. It's got all kinds of cannabinoids in there that'll help you with those things. And it's got that THC molecule that'll give you euphoria. So if you're miserable, you're sick, you're dying, you're not okay, you're in a bad mood, try some cannabis, and not only will you feel physically better, but you'll have some euphoria. Because nature is wonderful. And we should all be free to access nature in any way that we want. Especially cannabis. It has been such a horrific crime against our human brothers and sisters to have cannabis denied to us, especially those people that really need it, but to everybody. And what that speaks to with respect to whether or not we're free. We are not free. But we are free to celebrate 420 at this point in this office right here. And Glenn Wells is here to help me do that, as always, for the 420 session. How you doing?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. You got your hat on?
I put my hat on. Yeah, I got my white sweater, white hat. Why not, right?
I think you look really sharp there.
Thank you very much.
So you're going to have to smoke twice as much today.
Yeah, I will. I'll smoke for you.
Want to smoke for me?
Yeah, I will definitely smoke for you.
Because,
You're getting old.
I'm not afraid to admit it. Yeah. And old age can really suck. And especially if you've abused your system your whole life with too much sugar.
Oh.
Life can really suck.
On you, right?
So yeah, woke up with a little bit of a headache this morning after a little bit of stomach upset, after a little bit of binging. on some cookies and things that I shouldn't
you
eat.
didn't mention the cookies earlier.
Didn't I? I told you it all started a few days ago with my stomach.
Yes.
Well, if my stomach's off, it's not just off, because I ate properly and lived properly. It's off usually because I binged on something that I shouldn't binge on. That sugar addiction is a tough one, man.
Oh, it is.
Holy
It is.
smokes.
It is.
And they put that stuff in everything.
Oh, yeah.
In
Even
everything.
ketchup.
It's in cheesies. It's in
too.
everything.
Yeah.
And,
I had to cut out pop.
And they get us early. You look at the patterns of a human's life in North America, and one thing that almost all of us share in common are celebrating birthdays. And when you're celebrating a birthday, your first couple of birthdays, you don't know what's going on.
Nope.
It's all new to you.
But
what do you got? Well, you got this ice cream, and you got the cake, and oh my goodness! And so I think almost everybody in North America had a picture of themselves as a baby with cake all over their face.
The first cake, yeah. But I think they even get
A
this earlier.
1-year-old. You're giving a 1-year-old a super heavy dose of sugar. They're barely off of their mother's milk and formula that's made specifically for growing babies.
Yeah.
And their 1-year reward is you get to start killing yourself with sugar.
I wonder if there's any sugar in the Gerber baby foods, because that one,
I bet you there is.
about 6 months you're able to give them those foods, right? So there's probably even sugar in those.
Well, sugars are food.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in everything, because it is everything that we ingest is got sugars, because that's food.
Yeah.
But we're talking about white refined sugar.
Yes.
Where they've taken all the food value out of it, left just that taste, concentrated, and your being is looking for that taste because that's where food value usually is. Mm-hmm. And holy smokes, is there ever a lot of that taste in that cake? But there's very little food value in that cake. There might be some eggs, might be some flour. White flour that's probably not very good for you anyway. But, primarily that is a junkie's hit of sugar that we're given to a baby. And then every year there's a whole bunch more. It's not just every year you get fed a whole bunch of concentrated sugar products. It's like Easter and Christmas and, Halloween. You've heard me talk about Halloween on this show before.
How about a can of pop? 45 grams of sugar. We're talking 1.5 ounces of sugar. So, you cannabis smokers out there, you know what 1.5 ounces looks like. So that is that much sugar inside 1 can of pop. Yeah. I had to cut out pop. That was the best thing I ever done. I have one maybe in a month, or two in a month maybe, but that's wow.
I don't know why I never drank it.
45 grams.
Being
of
a sugar addict the way I am. But I found fruit juices have a fair bit of sugar in there too, and that gives me it fixes my sweet urge. So yeah, it's a very insidious thing. For those of you who haven't heard my little rant about Halloween, how do we do this as a society of parents of children, where we allow there to be this one day a year where we dress our kids up as scary as possible. We let them join together in gangs of other kids all dressed as scary as possible. And masks included, so you don't know who that is coming to your door there that's demanding sugar. But that's what they do. These roving gangs of masked children run through the neighborhoods demanding sugar from their neighbors, door after door after door, and threatening them. Trick or treat, man. You give me the treat that I'm looking for, or we're going to do a trick you're not going to like. We're going to light your pumpkin on fire. We're going to throw eggs at your house. We're going to make it miserable for you if you don't give us the sugar that we're asking for. So here we have gangs of drug addicts threatening neighbors door to door to get their fix.
Sugar drug addict.
And the parents are all fine with this. They're all fine. They don't use hard love on the neighbors' kids and say, no, this isn't right. I shouldn't be giving you kids all this sugar. Look at you. You're too hyper already. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make a stand. No, they go out and buy a whole bunch of sugar to have right there at the door to give to the kids when they arrive. I didn't do that, I did do that, but I did something else too. I figured, I don't want my house egged, so I'm going to give them what they're demanding, but they're also going to get the truth along with it. So when kids would come to my door and get their sugar, before I would give it to them, I'd say, hey, you know about type 2 diabetes, right?
Because see, nowadays, if there's no lights on, you don't get tricked. You just walk past the house. So it's a little bit better than the
I don't
old
know
days.
if that's true, Glenn.
Well,
I don't know.
I have 4 kids.
Yeah, but I bet you there's some people out there that have tried leaving their house dark and came home to eggs or something.
Maybe.
I mean,
there might be,
I'm sure that has to
depends
happen.
on what your attitude is on the street that you live in. If people like you.
It's the premise. Nobody really understands that that's what they're doing. I mean, no, the kids don't realize that they're junkies for sugar and that they're dressing up to scare the neighbors, and it's all symbolic of what might happen to them in the future when they're addicted to some other heavy drug and they're gonna go and rob a house to get what they need to buy it. I mean, no, people don't understand that symbolism that's going on there.
Nope.
But for me, it's just as plain as the nose on your face.
Yeah.
We're scaring the neighbors into giving us the fix that the junkie kids need for their sugar fix. And this is crazy that we do that.
Yeah.
You know. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's right.
Well, I was just going to say the sugar industry's taken over everything.
Yeah.
Because their product helps other products sell.
Yep.
They put that in cheesies because sugar addicts will eat more cheesies.
Yep.
You know, they put it in everything because it addicts people to the sugar, and then you buy more of their products. It's been going on for a long time, and yet we let this happen, and we don't say anything about it. But, look at the effort we put into weed. You know, holy shit, they spend so much money looking into what might be possibly harmful about weed.
But they'll feed it sugar.
But they don't mind the sugar at all. In fact, they're worried about cannabis and kids. You know, you can't have any products visible from the street. You can't have any kids in the store. Can't, tell your kids anything about it. But sugar,
I do.
Holy smokes! Yeah, well, you could lose your kids for doing that.
No.
Not these days, but I mean,
before,
not too long past.
Yeah.
You tell your
Nowadays,
kids anything positive about anything like that or like cannabis, and you could lose your kids. You could go to jail. The kid goes to school and says, "Hey, my dad told me that weed is good, and you're telling me it's bad. I like my dad better than you. I'm believing him." Well, yeah, what's your address? You know?
That was the 70s, 80s.
And you're getting a call.
Thank you very much for the compliments on the hoodie. People are saying that they love the
Yeah,
hoodie.
he designed it himself.
Yep,
made it by hand.
No. I didn't think about it. Well, the design, I guess.
You're getting complimented for being smart enough to spot a decent hat and buying it.
Landlord's saying hi, too.
Hi, landlord.
Hope you're feeling better.
Hello, everybody out there. Hope you're all feeling better. Hope you're all feeling better than me today.
Yeah, I know. Well, at least you're smiling. You're not smoking.
I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah.
I always try to do the best you can.
You didn't have to take that evil
when
thing.
When you're not feeling good, it doesn't help to be sad.
No,
it doesn't help to be miserable.
No. And having a good attitude helps the body sometimes. You start to smile. You feel a little bit better.
I saw that on TV last night, and I've known it for a long time.
Yeah.
It was by Thoughty 2. If anybody watches Thoughty 2 on YouTube, I love that guy. He's great. And he's got one that's been out for about a year about how to hack your brain.
Oh, yeah?
Because our brains
are
hacking us all the time.
Yes, they're very powerful.
We react to things we have no idea about until we learn about ourselves. But, I mean, we have all kinds of different triggers and all sorts of different things. And when you're triggered to be afraid or confused, your brain shifts. You go with what I call the battle bridge, a Star Trek reference there. But you go the amygdala, which is responsible for a lot of reasoning, gets cut right off, and you go to fight, and you go to fight or flight mode.
Yep.
And so
I just experienced that last week when they were trying to take some blood in my arm. The lady went a little too far, and I went into fight or fight, and I had to do some deep breathing. I almost felt like passing out, right? So, and she goes, "Oh, just relax. Here's some apple juice. That'll get you going, right?"
And there are things you do. You breathe your way out of it. You make your thoughts better.
Yeah.
And then what they said, which was what you were saying, is smile.
Yeah.
You don't always just smile when you're happy. If you smile, you'll find that happiness follows.
Yes.
Your brain follows the body language. If your body says there's something going on that's making me happy, your brain will seek that thing and find things that are making you happy, and you'll start thinking about that, and it's a cycle. So, there's all sorts of ways to hack your brain. And another one is to smoke a joint.
Yeah.
Works for a lot of people. If you're upset or depressed, whenever I'm feeling like that, what I say to myself is, man, I need to smoke a joint.
Yeah, or do a dab.
I don't do much dabs.
I know, I do, though. I got to go do a dab.
Exactly.
Speaking on my behalf, and probably other people out there.
Oh, tons of other people. Dabs are great. Dabs are the best. Dabs, you don't have to ingest the plant matter and all the rest of it.
Maybe I'd be doing dabs, but if we go across Canada and we get back here, after a month, we'll be dabbing away.
I don't know what it is, Glenn. I tell the truth. I have a pot TV show, but I have some issues with smoking pot sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not afraid to tell the truth about that. I mean, I know Greg used to give me a hard time. Bless his heart. I love that man, and I miss him so much. And 420 is coming up. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But yeah, rest in peace, Greg. Rest in cannabis bliss, my friend. And we miss you a ton. But Yeah.
Got me laughing, yeah. It's true. See, we got him laughing, right? That's what we want to do, right?
Yeah.
Because it just makes you feel better. You know, if you can laugh at something and...
You turn your attention to something that feels better, you know.
Yeah, it does.
That's the downward cycle that you get into if you're not feeling good, and then you start thinking miserable thoughts, and then you're feeling worse, and it's a cycle that works. So you got to get yourself out of that cycle.
Yeah.
And smoking a joint, having a happy thought, putting a smile on your face, taking a deep breath, doing a threes. I like to stand up, turn around, take a deep breath.
Oh, really? Eh?
Yeah, those sorts of things. If I really
I'll turn
need
on
to
some
change
music or something. A favorite song or something. Even the Pink Panther theme will get me happy.
Music is fantastic for that. Oh,
Right?
music is so good.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, now that the vaccine mandate is finally going away, oh my God, I might be a regular citizen again. I'm not sure. We'll see how they treat me. But apparently we can go to most restaurants again.
On Saturday, yep.
And concerts.
Yep.
And so
Hockey
yesterday,
games and everything, yes.
Yesterday there was just a slew of musical artists releasing concert dates and tickets going on sale.
Yes.
I mean, you had so much to choose from. I mean, people must have been having a hard time going, well, I've got $300. I can go to 2 concerts. Which 2 do I want to go to?
I've got tickets to Elton John.
Wow.
Floor
tickets.
The
Rolling Stones are coming back.
Yeah.
I know Roxanne told me last night
already.
she has tickets for that show when they come because she got tickets for a show that got canceled.
Nice.
And so she's looking forward to that.
I saw the Stones in the 80s at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto where the Blue Jays used to play.
Wow.
And it was an outdoor stadium and they had the girl up top and he went up on top of the whatchamacallit.
I'm going to take this call because this is William Hicks.
Oh, okay, sure. Good.
Mr. Hicks, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you, Neil?
I'm pretty good. You're on the show. I don't know if you know that or not.
You're live on the show.
You're live on the show with your report.
Oh, you're live already.
You didn't know that. I start at 7 o'clock your time, don't I?
I don't get it. I only get it on YouTube, and you're using the second day on that. So
I
don't get
see.
Facebook anymore.
Oh, right, of course.
Oh.
So William is looking after our program in London, Ontario. How's it been going, William?
Yep. Excellent. People are so happy and so appreciative. I mean, I know we had over 80 people. There was probably more like 100 plus people. You know what I mean? I make up so many bags of this, and I know, right?
Yeah.
And they're happy. I mean, so happy. It was a beautiful day, nice sunny day.
Beautiful.
I'm sure they'll only grow as the summer comes along, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's what happened here too. You know, we went from 160 people to 250 people to 300 people. And then finally, thankfully, we had some evolution with the city, and they said they would support us in a low barrier access situation like a storefront. And so we moved it off the street and into the storefront. And then, of course, that didn't work out, and we ended up in the RV now. But, you're going to have your program evolve and grow there. I hope one day you have a store. Yeah.
I hope that something will change, and maybe we'll be able to do it more often rather than just once a week, right? For sure, right?
Any communication with any of the authorities recently there?
None. No police interaction with me at all.
They just leave you right alone.
So far, Mary done a good job before she left, right?
Right.
She talked them up and made sure that they knew what was going on.
Right on.
And I think they're happy that at least somebody's doing something to help the situation, right?
Right.
So I think they're just laying off and letting us do our thing, right?
Somebody told me yesterday that there was a W5 show on the situation on the downtown east side, and that they had video of our RV, and they said this is the only group that's actually doing something that's positive and constructive down here.
We'll have to check that out.
So I'm gonna have to check that out. But that's on W5 5 or 6 weeks ago.
That's on CTV, right?
Yeah.
I'll check that out for sure. I will. Yeah.
Because we certainly are a group that's doing some good down here, like you guys are.
Positive. That's what we want to hear, right? For
Very
sure.
good.
Positive.
Very good. So you were just
but
calling.
Negative will work too. It gets it out there. I don't, Yeah.
Yeah. But you need more donations as always, right?
Hey, sorry?
You need more donations as always?
Well, that's just a given, right?
Yeah.
It's almost just a given, right?
Yeah.
I changed my baker. I was getting over, I had so much on my plate.
Yeah.
I said I needed a baker. I got a baker, but he could only do it this week. He's going to a funeral next week, so I got to do it myself again next week, but hopefully he'll be back on, and we got a new guy doing that. And it's good. We're changing. Got a couple new guys. Dad's been with us for a while now, but I got a new guy, Randall, Randolph, and he's been great, helping us out here and there. And
Awesome.
so, yeah, it's always changing. And we had a woman come today and say she would be willing to bake for us, and then we're going to, I got the number, and I'll give her a call and see what she can do for us for sure, right?
Right on. Follow every
But
lead.
Things are going good. Things are going good. I mean,
Wonderful.
It's not the way we want it to be, obviously, but it's helping.
Yeah, we're not where we want to be yet, but we're going to get there. And that's how we get there.
Well, that's it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for what you're doing, and thank you for the report.
Okay, you have a good evening, and I'll be watching your probably tomorrow, of course, but I'll be watching your show tomorrow then.
Well, you'll hear yourself.
Yeah.
All right, William.
He sounds a lot like Doug.
Have a great day.
You have a great day too, guys,
Thank
and peace out, brothers.
All right, peace out. Cool.
Yeah, he sounds
Bye now, bye.
Bye now.
He sounds a lot like Doug. We had
Yeah, he does.
This photo would be like stereo.
Yeah, that's true. Eh?
Yeah, just the way that they talk and stuff. I was like, hey, he really sounds like Doug Scar.
So yeah, a little early report on the Cannabis Substitution Program in London there.
Yeah,
A little
It still brings
spontaneous.
smiles to our
Happens
faces.
when you do a live stream.
Yeah.
And thanks to Mary for starting that program. Mary McCarty was our head baker here for quite a while, and now she's moved on to Winnipeg from London, where William was calling from, and so she started up a CSP
And she's
in
coming back
Winnipeg.
here.
Well, she's wanting to come back.
Yes. I've been hearing some birds come in my yard and whisper in my ear, sort of thing. Yeah, maybe that she might be coming back. That would be so nice.
If we do our trip, you and I, maybe she'll come with us on the way back or something.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but she wants to get the program properly running in Winnipeg. She's already got people that are going to help her there. Some bakers have stepped forward. Legacy 420, what a fantastic company. Sent a big donation to Mary. They've also sent donations to us here, to William in London, and I believe
Are they going to be at 420? Will I be able to meet these people?
No.
No, they're not coming, eh?
No, they're in Ontario.
Oh, they're in Ontario.
Yeah, they're in
Well, we'll
Ontario.
see then if we go across then, I guess.
If we go across, we will definitely make a stop there and see those people for sure. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
100%.
Where are they in Ontario?
They're on a indigenous land somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where, but we would find that out and we would visit them for sure.
No, because I'm going to be in Ontario in May, so.
That's right. So maybe you can go and see them.
Well, yes. Maybe you can find out where they are.
We'll hook you up for sure.
Anywhere near to where I'm going to be, so.
Yeah. Legacy 420 has been awesome.
We got that big
They're
family.
also heavily involved in the FECO group, the full extract cannabis oil.
I put my story on that.
Did you?
Did you not?
Yeah,
see
go
it?
to FECO Playbook or FECO Playbook, FECO Playbook.com.
Yep.
If you've got a story about how cannabis helped you or hurt you in your life, we're collecting those stories. We're going to have the state of the art, the world's best database of stories of people. Patient reported outcomes is what we're calling them, and we want yours. We want all of them. We want to be able to not just say that there's tens of thousands of stories of people that have, but we have those stories, and you can go and look at those stories, and some of them are digital, just printed in, and some of them are videos.
Yeah.
There's different ways
Mine
you can do it.
Typed in.
I
talked about how I was on chlorpromazine for 5 years in group homes, and then they kicked me out and I didn't have the chlorpromazine anymore, but then cannabis would make me feel the same way as if I was on the chlorpromazine.
Right.
And then I would use that until my crack years, and then I was using cannabis not so much, just to go to sleep at the end of that, but then it brought me back to using cannabis all the time, and it's been 41 years now. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And
there's a lot of stories out there.
Crack, so.
And those are profound stories.
Yeah.
The stories are really profound, and we want them. We want to be able to refer to them.
And my good health. I don't get sick very often, and that's your endocannabinoid or our endocannabinoid system, and I'm living proof that cannabis does balance your system.
Yeah.
I've been like. I'm knocking on the wood just in case, but I know we're here too. But yeah, it's been amazing that I've also thought that when I'm 65, if somebody tries to stick me in some old hoagie's home or something, will they give me my cannabis?
That's right. That'll be your one requirement.
Will I start getting sick because I don't have it? Right. Will I be a different person? So
I don't want to be an old folk in an old folks' home drooling and. Wishing I had a joint.
I know. Maybe we'll just move to Jamaica and not have to worry about
Somebody
it.
asked me the other day about, do I have what I need to retire? I said, I don't think retirement is in the cards for me. I don't know. I'd like to slow down a little bit one day, but I don't want to I don't want to slow right down, end up in a care home with somebody spoon feeding me while I sit there and drool. Wow. And don't remember anything. I don't want none of that. My mom is right now got no memory whatsoever, and she's beside herself. She's not happy. Wow. She was doing okay with it, but now she's not really at all. She's not looking good.
She's got less freedom now, right? So.
Well, it's got more attention.
More attention, yeah.
Which is probably good, but because I'm not vaccinated, I can't go into the building.
Yeah. Not yet. Because it's a medical setting.
Yeah. That's so we'll see we'll see when that changes. But they bring her out for me to visit. We go across the parking lot and sit in the chapel usually and have a chat with her.
Okay.
But it's I don't want that. I don't know how you avoid that. I don't know. What I do want, if that's going on, is some mushrooms.
Yeah. For your
Give
mom?
me some mushrooms at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now 420.
Yes.
We are 2 weeks away.
We are.
2 weeks tomorrow is 420.
Yep.
Holy smokes.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on in your part of the world. Hopefully there's something going on. Everywhere it's 420 at 420. Even if you're all by yourself and you just got a little bit of ganja and you smoke it to your head, there you go, it's 420. But here in Vancouver, it's a big deal.
Yep.
It's been a big deal for a long time here. We made it as such because it's the best platform that we could build for ourselves to be able to get our message out. Finally, after we were getting tens of thousands of people, we were getting some positive media coverage. Mm-hmm. And we had well over 100,000 people on the last big one before the pandemic in 2019. And lots of media coverage. And, when you've got 100,000 people out there in front of you, for me, it was so powerful to be able to be on stage, to have that microphone, to be able to tell those people what they needed to know, And we've built this amazing event, 420 on April 20th.
Yeah.
And it had, 2 years during the pandemic where we kept it smoldering.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to let it die out completely. We stayed safe during those events, but they didn't have more than probably maybe 14 or 15 booths at the last one. But this year is different again. We're in Vancouver. We're moving back to the art gallery because of potential problems at the beach with the dismantling of a barge.
Yeah.
For me, it was a lot about the weather as well. We've had a lot more rain leading up to this April 20th than we have normally.
Yeah.
And even if the next 2 weeks were solid sunshine, I don't think that field would be properly dried out. There's big puddles there right now. And so that it would be a mud pit. There'd be lots of media pushback on the
grass
mud.
getting ruined.
And the city would push back on that as well. And the Parks Board, I talked to them and they were like, well, we don't have it in our budget anymore to be able to support your 420, and I'm like, well, what did you do for us anyway? You didn't spend a lot on doing anything for us, although they certainly put in bills to cover a whole bunch of stuff that they said they did. Yeah. So this way we don't deal with the Parks Board, we don't deal with mud, we've got a smaller area to clean, and I don't know how big it's going to be, but I think we'll be able to manage it at the art gallery this year.
According to the person that's taking care of the booths and the mats, we're over half sold out of booths already. So
and there's lots of free space.
I think there's 112 booths all total, and we've sold 50 or 60. So
right, and which is really good because typically we don't sell.
To come down and see the event because we've got 50 or 60 booths, not 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Right. So and it's still growing. There's still 2 weeks to go.
Typically, we don't sell most of the booths until that last week.
Yeah, and you don't know about the free booths either because that's not including the free people.
We don't know what that's going to be like at all.
Yeah, so
the whole Robson side Street of the Art Gallery is all going to be just free booths for people. There's no paid booths back there.
Good.
On the other side, on the Georgia Street side, there's going to be some free areas there.
Yeah.
And then there are still booths available for people who want them. But there's great response. I'm hearing a lot of people very excited.
Yeah.
A lot of people asking me if it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, and they can't wait.
So it's good to be back in the old stomping grounds too. And they said it was okay that they gave us permission to be there, right?
Yep.
Yep. That's good.
They've always liked us there. There's not been a problem with that.
No.
We keep it when we leave. It's cleaner than when we got there.
Yeah.
That's one thing for sure.
It is.
I do want to point out that there's been a change in organizers. Mm-hmm. That the original organizing group, of which I was a part of, is unable to organize another 420 because of different avenues that they've taken with respect to legalization and some other things. And so that organizing group was not going to be putting it on. And the organizing group that has done it the last 2 years during the pandemic, the collective, they're doing it. I mean, of course they are. Somebody has to. And I wanted to find out who was doing it, if they were doing it again. As soon as I knew they were, I support that. I support anybody who does anything in the way of protesting to do with cannabis. And so we want to make it as good an event as we can. And yeah, but just for clarity, the old website will, if not now, very soon be giving you a link to go to the other website, the new website. Yeah. There was some issues getting that together. Always issues with any of these things. You know, and this we have to plan for a big group. So, you know, we have to plan for that. That's all there is to it. Yeah. So yeah, it should be great. I hope we get to see a bunch of people there. I always love meeting people at Fort Wayne.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be great entertainment.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands lined up so far.
And I know there's going to be some powerful speakers there. Brian Carlisle's going to be there, and he's actually prepared his speech already and put it on YouTube. And you know, that's a powerful presentation that he's got there about the discrimination against disabled people, and how cannabis is involved in that. My goodness, is it ever? Yeah. You know, this is the big expose of the truth about Canada and how it treats its disabled people and the sick people in Canada, and it is not nice, I'll tell you. Disabled Canadians do not have any rights, and here we have a government that's demanding that they know your medical history. They want to know, you know, have you been vaccinated? You know, what are you using cannabis for? If we're going to give you permission to use cannabis, you have to have a real good reason for it. And you do not want to tell your government or any of their agents what is wrong with you or that anything is wrong with you, because they will 100% use that against you. So, you know, this is the world that we're living in a very corrupt world, and we need to navigate that and understand that, or we're going to get caught in those pitfalls and those traps that are here for us. And the disabled people of Canada are left out in the cold every which way you look with respect to cannabis. How horrible is this? Trudeau decides he's going to legalize cannabis for everyone, and the truth is, he's legalized it only for people that are willing to pay their fine up front to the Trudeau cartel, and all the medical people that were using cannabis are completely thrown under the bus.
Yeah.
The first stores...
still waiting for my permit.
Oh, and we're still waiting for our permission too. Yeah. A year and a half later into a public health emergency where an alarming number of people are dying because of poisoned drug supply, and we're here with, hey, cannabis is a solution. Cannabis can get you through withdrawal and get you off of those drugs. Cannabis can replace the pain-killing use of those other drugs if you use edibles and concentrates. And they're ignoring us. They're doing everything to delay and not give us permission. A year and a half to get permission to save people from addiction, which we'd been demonstrating at that point for 3.5 years, works very, very well. Hundreds of people that are members that'll testify and put in their patient-reported outcomes about how cannabis has got them off the opioids and got them off the hard drugs. And we're waiting for permission from public servants in Ottawa who've never even come to see what we're doing. Yet we told them, and we put in a great application that they should have looked at, and anybody looking at that application that has an ounce of soul would take less than the time it took to read the application. They would get halfway through it. And they'd be, give these people permission. Oh my God, let's give them some money to help them do what they're doing. How much edibles do you need? How many people can you reach? That's what should be happening. Yeah. But instead they ignore us. We contact them every once in a while to find out what's going on, to see if there's a timeline we could be counting on. And all they say is, rest assured, our team has been working diligently on your file and application since you first put it in there. How long ago was that now?
Mine is, it's in processing.
It's in processing.
Yeah, I said, why don't you send somebody down to that guy's desk, unbury my file, and process
Put a stamp on it.
Right? I know. Why can't, we don't know where
the government wants something from you, they're going to come and get it right away. You got no time to hide. But if you want something from them, oh my God, you can't find them, you can't get a hold of them, it's really hard to contact them, and they're just going to ignore you. And especially in this case, where obviously they've made promises to some very wealthy investors that they're not going to allow cannabis to be sold cheap anywhere. Yeah. And so now they've got this scheme where you can go into these government stores and pay more money for worse weed than you did during Prohibition.
I know, eh?
This is Trudeau's legalization.
And right now, your local grower is about $100 an ounce, so you're still doing a better deal than what a government store could do. So if you can buy local,
on the gray market, the prices are coming down all over the place. There is still some expensive cannabis, and there always will be, and there always should be.
Yeah,
and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
When we thought about legalization, to me, having high-end stores where people were going to be able to buy connoisseur-grown cannabis that was beautifully trimmed and smelled florally, and
you don't need a quarter joint.
That was going to happen. Sure it was. Rich people want to have a nice, rich store to walk into to buy cannabinoids. Of course they do.
Yeah.
What we didn't see coming was that there would be no stores where you could go and buy it cheaply for people that need it every day or using it for medical purposes. Yeah. And why the hell not? I mean, sure, you can spend a lot of money growing cannabis. I got friends that grow cannabis, and they spend a lot of money doing that. The hydro is expensive. Even the clipping of the buds is expensive. They pay high wages for that to get it done properly if they're not doing it by machine. So you can spend a lot of money bringing beautiful connoisseur cannabis to market. But a farmer who's used to growing whatever crop that he wants to bring to market to make a few pennies on, to pay his mortgage, would also figure out how to grow cannabis, nice, good cannabis, bring it to the marketplace for similar money to what any other crop is. That should be allowed to happen here. Yeah. If the government got out of the way, that's what would happen. So
I think Redbeard's going to be one of those people. His crops, I've seen some pictures because it was just his birthday.
I saw those too. Happy birthday, Redbeard. I miss you, buddy. I miss the glass gatherings. I miss you. You're a wonderful human being.
He's been working hard, though. I've been seeing that. Wow.
He is. And I think he's thinking he's growing some good weed for the government, and I hope he is. I don't necessarily want the governments to fail in their stores. I want them to evolve in their stores.
Be mom and pop stores.
You've got the section over there with all the fancy lights and the pretty colors and the connoisseur grown weed under spotlights and shit like that. Mm-hmm. But you've got a bulk section as well where you can buy cannabis in bulk. You can buy, branches with cannabis, leaves and flowers all told, put them all there, $10 a pound.
How about some seeds so you can put it in your smoothies and stuff like that?
The government should send everybody seeds.
And put it on a scale and go to the superstore and pay for it, of thing, right? So.
I mean, we're not on a fair playing field with anybody.
No.
Not even with alcohol.
No.
Alcohol, that proven destroyer of lives, that substance that's used to excess on the weekends here in Vancouver, causing all sorts of violence and fights and police interaction going on in Gastown and Granville Street.
Yeah.
The domestic violence, the carnage on the highways, the people that die from alcohol poisoning, a few hundred of them in British Columbia every year. Never heard Bonnie Henry say anything about that. No daily reports of people dying from alcohol poisoning, but it's happening. And that's just alcohol poisoning. That's where you drink too much and die. Alcohol in influenced death is way more than that.
Oh, yeah.
All over the place.
And they won't talk about it because it'll scare people, and then they won't get the taxes.
Oh, they're making money selling alcohol.
There you go, right.
And they're making money prohibiting cannabis.
Yep.
We live in a very corrupt world here. We need to sort all that out. We talked last week about vote none of the above. We're going to get more information on that, find out what the Electoral Act has to say about what happens if that was to happen, what the mechanisms for governance would be. And we will report back more on that as we move forward, because I think that is perhaps a solution to resetting this government that we're oppressed by.
Yeah.
None of the above.
I have some information from CannaMatch.
CannaMatch, yes, of course.
Yes,
CannaMatch is going to have a good presence at 420, by the way.
The site has been updated.
New sign on there today.
Yeah.
You got the app going on.
We got the Google apps going on. And the site was just updated. It just finished updating. And we're going to be allowing credit cards because Van City has agreed to give CannaMatch a bank account.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
So once I find out what the name of my company will be with the CannaMatch, we'll be able to open an account, and I'll be opening up a credit card. So you won't have to use just PayPal to buy credits on it. You'll be able to just use your credit card. Nice. You won't have to have a PayPal account. And
another big good change for CannaMatch.
Yeah. Van City called me or emailed me today. We have no problem with your site. What's the name? And then I went to the credit card company and said, well, we just need your transit information and stuff like that, and we'll get you all set up. So
probably a benefit of legalization, I guess.
Probably, yeah. They did check the site. They said, give us the link, but they just wanted to make sure you're not selling cannabis, which we're not selling cannabis there. Yeah. Right? It's just like-minded people.
You're just hooking people up.
Yep, that's it.
And that's what I love so much about CannaMatch. It's not just for finding a lover, swipe till you find a lover.
Yeah.
You can find somebody who shares your passion for cannabis that just wants to smoke a joint and imbibe in the sacred herb. And maybe they know where a hookup is. It would be helpful, especially if you're new to town or don't have a hookup for some reason. You can find that through CannaMatch as well. So a big fan of CannaMatch because our movement, our cannabis, one love movement of people has been really disrupted by so-called legalization, and it was certainly disrupted by illegalization too.
Yeah.
But it made it very difficult for people to have bank accounts and to run businesses.
Yeah.
And so maybe now a little bit of that is backed off. In the States, they figure there's $28 billion in cannabis sales through the legal dispensaries going on.
Cards.
And about 7% of that is going through some sort of a scheme of... I don't know how it all works, but you can use an ATM machine. It's a cashless transfer. Visa has now clued into it, and they're going to shut that down. But there was some $7 billion in transactions that was being done somehow, without the knowledge of the big banks who don't want any of that going on to protect their fuel interests and their other interests.
Why?
So banking and cannabis have been hard for a long time. This whole thing is so messed up,
Well, I'm glad that they're loosening up. They're going to allow me to have an account now, so things will be able to grow a little faster there. And
right.
Yeah, and that's a good thing.
We'll be talking about CannaMatch in the years to come, and it'll be a big deal. I believe it'll be a big deal.
And like I said,
and you've got people joining from all over the place,
all
down
over
in
the
the
world
States.
now. Australia, Missouri, Oklahoma, Connecticut. It's catching on.
Right on.
It's catching on.
Right on.
Yeah, and soon we'll be able to make it a lot easier for everybody to buy the credits and stuff. So
yeah, and just to talk to other cannabis-loving people. And,
because you know what? I come up with a new line. At CannaMatch, you'll never hear, "You smoke weed." Like we used to always do, right?
That's right.
Because you see when you want to smoke with somebody, you'd ask them that question.
That's the biggest thing with meeting people as well.
Yeah.
Is you've got to broach that question pretty quick if you don't know. You met somebody, you had a flirtatious conversation, you exchanged phone numbers. At some point you got to say, hey,
do you smoke weed?
You smoke weed?
Never at CannaMatch will you ever hear that.
That's right. And probably nobody's even going to say, yeah, I don't smoke that stuff.
And I thought about that 11:30 at night when I was trying to go to sleep. All of a sudden I had to tell Google to remind me of what I had thought of before I go to sleep at night. Right?
Nice.
So.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, you have a great week.
You as well.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks for your weekly presence. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll next week will be 1 week.
1 week. That's what I was just thinking. That
I might have the new shirt on next week. Which won't say 420 Vancouver. It'll say Vancouver 420.
My speaker will be Sterling. The
professor. Oh, really?
Yes. And
nice.
it's really worked out because in 2019, you remember he was going to do a speech and he couldn't because of his antics at the airport, remember? He said it's just come right around where I asked him to do that and he gets to fulfill one of his biggest things to do. Right? So I didn't even know I was doing that, but yeah, it's worked out really nice. So he's going to be staying at my place. So
nice. And that's because you're one of the gold sponsors at the event.
I'm a gold level sponsor with only one level above me. Yep.
And there's still sponsorship spots available for 420. There's still booths available to be rented there. There's going to be a fair amount of free space, so come on down if you don't have a booth. And let's make 420 just an awesome return to our protestivals.
Yes. See you next week.
Thanks, Glenn.
Yep.
Which brings us to the cannabis substitution segment of the show. We are still following the pursuit of a low barrier access community cannabis store that would allow for people that are disabled and allow for people that don't have a lot of money but are daily users to be able to access cannabis in a dignified way through a storefront with prices that make sense based on what it took to bring things to market. The Cannabis Substitution Program was a response to the public health emergency that was the overdose crisis, where the drug supply of hard drugs here on the downtown east side of Vancouver and all across the world became tainted with fentanyl 100 times stronger than heroin. And when you don't know that's what you're taking, it only takes a tiny, tiny little bit to shut down your respiratory system, to shut down your heart and kill you. And so we've had an alarming number of people die, and that started happening back in 2015. And so myself, having knowledge of the ability of cannabis in the form of high-dose edibles to get people through withdrawal and off of those drugs and then replace the use of those drugs, it became a no-brainer for me that we needed to find a way to get cannabis to people that needed it as easily as possible. Easy access to cannabis is what would save lives. So I went to some of my dispensary owner friends and got some assurances that I would be able to get donations if I wanted to start a program of giving it away to people. I then went to Vandu in Vancouver here, the Vancouver Area Network of Drug Users organization that is an advocacy group on behalf of the oppressed drug users in our city here. I presented to their board the idea of giving cannabis high-dose edibles away and got unanimous approval to go to City Council and try to get their approval, which I did. No, I didn't get their approval. I just went to City Council to try to get their approval. It'd be nice if I got their approval, and eventually we did, but not for 2.5 more years. So for those first 2.5 years, without any government support, and thankfully no interference from the VPD, who I also presented to their board what we were going to do before we started doing it. For 2.5 years, we handed out care packs, so once a week for the first year, twice a week for the following years, and gave them away to people that would line up through winter, summer, fall, wind, rain, snow, ice, heat, you name it, line up on the sidewalk and get a free care pack. Like I said, after 2.5 years, we did get city approval. They passed a motion unanimously to allow low barrier access to cannabis to address the overdose crisis. And in meeting with the city, the council put that forward. We had an understanding that we would find a storefront and provide from there, which we did, which was here. But we didn't get that approval that they said we would get, because once we were in the store, the licensing department decided that they weren't going to issue us a license unless the federal government did. So right away, we applied to the federal government. John Conroy did an amazing job of putting together a very comprehensive application for us. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait. We got evicted because the approval did not come before the eviction took place. We bought an RV so that we wouldn't miss a beat, because the people that are part of our program, over 260 people, accessing high-dose edibles through us, needed to know where to get those. Many of those people are from this area, are homeless, don't have addresses, don't have phones, aren't able to be contacted. So we couldn't just stop the program without putting those people at risk of death. And so we bought an RV and started providing our service, parked on the street out front of the store, hoping to get our license in a relatively short time. It's been 17 months that we've been in that RV every day of the week, providing low barrier access to people, waiting for Health Canada to give us approval. It's ludicrous, it's absurd, it's horrific, it's terrible. But here we are, still doing it. At least we're still doing it. And at least we haven't had too much interference. But getting that license would really help. And what would it help? It would help us save people's lives, because that's what we're doing here. And that's what we get told every day by people as they thank us for continuing to be here, saving their lives. We hear it every day. We're saving people's lives here. And we're not doing as good a job as we should be. Being in the RV is tough. Lots of people don't know it's there. It's not like we got a store with a sign up front. I do have signs on the RV, but they don't really explain too much, and it's more to the people that are driving by than the people that are walking by. We know we're missing people. The other illegal dispensary that's been operating downtown here and providing low barrier access for several years has now been shut down by the CSU with threats of fines of $100,000 if they continue to open their doors and help people. $100,000. They're not opening their doors letting lions out that are maiming and killing people. They're letting people come and get access to a natural herb that can help them stop using hard drugs deal with all the drivers of addiction like lack of sleep, lack of nutrition, pain, depression. All those things are helped by cannabis. These people are not hurting anybody except the licensed stores that want to maintain higher than prohibition prices so that anybody buying their crap has to pay quite a hefty fine up front for being able to do that. And they're going to charge these people $100,000. Give them a fine of $100,000. What kind of a serious, violent crime do you need to commit in Canada to get a $100,000 fine? I don't know if I've ever even heard of that. Although I've heard of worse. Because the cannabis buyers medicinal cannabis dispensary in Victoria, that's been operating for over 20 years and has a wonderful track record of thousands of people who will tell you that they've saved their life and improved their life dramatically, they've been issued a $6.5 million fine for their heinous crimes. These people are out of control. This whole thing is out of control. They have exposed themselves as heinous criminals. Denying sick people access to a valuable remedy is heinous. It's evil. It's criminal. Deciding to try to scare people out of doing that by issuing multi-million-dollar fines to people that dared is heinous. It's evil. It's criminal. Yet this is what's going on in Canada, not in Russia, not in communist China, in Canada. $6.5 million fine for people providing medical cannabis to sick people. If that isn't so far out of control that you're going to get up off your couch and try to do something about it, then I don't know what's ever going to cause you to do that. Maybe a war. And then you'll either get up off your couch and fight it or leave. But we got a war going on, folks. We are at war with corporations that have got a hold of our governments and have decided that on their behalf, they're going to force people into using pharmaceuticals. Evil, heinous, criminal. I don't know how it continues. I really don't. I really thought that there was at least some semblance of justice that was supposed to happen in Canada. I can't imagine any police officer going along with that. How would anybody go along with that? How are you going along with that? I'm not going along with it. I wouldn't pay it if it was levied on me, and it might be. It might be. We've dispensed several million milligrams of high-dose edibles through the Cannabis Substitution Program. Am I going to get a $6.5 million fine? Am I going to go to jail for the rest of my life? I don't know. Maybe. If this world continues to go down the path it's going, of more and more corruption, more and more criminal government interference in our lives, unabated, then it just could get way worse than it is right now. Maybe we've had our time of freedom as best it could be, and it's only going to get worse from here. I don't know. I hope not. Because I hope everybody's going to stand up and fight against that. If not for us, for the generation to come behind us, because it's coming for them. Is that what you want for your kids? To live in fear? To live as obedient subjects of a dictator instead of free citizens with public servants? Many people have worked long and hard. Many people have sacrificed their whole lives to get us to where we are. Are we going to let it all just go to naught? Are we going to now let the corporate agenda take over and give up and say, oh, well, at least we got some stores we can go and buy some cannabis in that we're not going to get arrested for? I hope not. I hope you're not settling for what they're offering, because it's not going to bode very well in the future if we continue to allow these people to oppress us without fighting back. So hopefully we can do that. Let's go have a quick look outside and a glimpse of what's going on with the Cannabis Substitution Program. Well, we're back to sunshine in Vancouver. This is your weekly weather report from downtown Vancouver. And it is a beautiful sunny day. It's a little bit cold. We've had quite a cold wind the last few days, but we're not really complaining. We did have a bit of rain too over the last few days, and cold and wind is never, and rain is never that nice down here. But this is very nice. We like the sunshine. And here we are outside of what was our store, and there's Jen and Glenn standing by the Healing Wave RV. And there it is, the Ganja Mobile. Looking like it's been sitting here for almost 2 years. I think we could use a wash. Yes. Hey Jen, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
You're out here, you get a break.
We're smoking a joint.
How's your day been?
It's been good.
Yeah? Busy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been a lot busier the last month or so for sure. These poor people out here in the RV hardly get any kind of a break at all. But I've seen you're getting one now, so that's good.
Uh-huh.
All right, we're going to go see what happens over here.
Okay, have fun.
So this is the backdoor access to the CSP, the Cannabis Substitution Program. We do have our signs here that tell people what's going on. And we do find that the laws, restrictions, and over-regulations of cannabinoids are an unethical and unjustified deterrent to Canadians who would otherwise use it to improve their health, better their lives, and escape addiction. See, I did say that. Just said it again. And everybody gets to see it that's driving by. Maybe that'll make a difference one day. As for people who are part of the program, if you have been issued a membership number, you're one of the lucky ones that gets to be part of the program, you just come to the back door here, and this is what you do. And then this wonderful little gnome will answer the door, and he'll say, so what's your number? Even though he knows what your number is, and he knows whether you're part of the program or not, he's going to ask you, and you got to tell him. And then what happens when they have the right number, Andrew?
They have the right number. If they've been here 4 days, they can come and get some edibles.
So every 4 days they can come?
Every 4 days. If they come today,
right?
They count tomorrow as their first day.
I see.
Of having their edibles.
Yep.
Right then, 4 days.
And then, so what do they get for edibles?
Okay, we have, well, we could use some more. We could use lots more donations. We're low on donations today. We have some. I have some gummies here, some ganja gummies, Gorilla Ganja. We have black cherry, half and half, indica, and CBD, 40 and 40. We have some sativa, 1-to-1, mango. It's 40 and 40, 40 indica and 40 sativa. And then we have just pure indica. And then we have some just pure raspberry, right? The raspberry's most popular, and I'd say the CBD is the second most popular one, right there.
Nice.
Then we have some cookies. These cookies were from Canna. These are 200 milligram cookies. I have cookies right here, chocolate chip.
Beautiful.
And I got
We just got these last night, and I'm not sure who they're from, so I'm not going to say.
Okay.
I know they came in from Jared, but I'm not sure the company, so we'll get that to you next week.
And I got some like a Rice Krispie with chocolate on it. They're 40 milligrams each.
Yeah.
They just came in today. And then I had some Nanaimo bars today.
Yeah.
I had a whole bunch. They're very popular and they all went. I've had about 25 people today.
Right
so
on.
that's 40 milligrams, right?
Okay.
No, that's 75 milligrams.
75 milligrams in those.
Of 150 milligrams. I cut it in half.
Okay, cut it in half.
And then I got some of these gummies here.
Yeah.
These gummies are there's 100 milligrams in there, 20, and there's 20 inside at 5 milligrams each.
Right. That's
A
from
lot
Green
of people-
Wilderness.
Yeah, a lot of people like low dose.
Right on.
Yeah, and then we have
You got caramels from somewhere in Neverland?
no caramels yet. None yet.
I see. Well, we'll be getting some of those. Somewhere in Neverland's a great donator for us as well.
I have some of these muffins from Joe Pepper.
Right
They're 50
on.
milligrams each.
Joe Pepper's been donating right from the beginning of the program.
Yeah,
She's so
she
wonderful.
does a great job. She does
Fantastic.
a great job. She's always here.
We love her.
Always here. I have some 50 milligram pills.
Dirty Dave.
Dirty Dave. This is what a 50 milligram pill looks like.
Yeah, they work really, really well for people.
Dirty Dave.
They can work a little bit too well. I've had people call me and say, hey, I took 2 of those capsules, and what do I do now? I said, well, you just enjoy yourself. It'll be okay. But yeah, some people got a little higher than they expected on those. Dirty Dave is famous for that. And then we've got some topicals.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
This is 60 milligrams of lip balm. That's 60 milligrams of CBD.
And that's from Canna.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same ones that gave us those other edibles that I was
Yes,
thinking
they
of.
did. Very nice. I have some 5 milligram pills. These are very good pills. People like low dose.
It's important to have the low dose as well as the high dose for sure. But the government's out of line with not having high dose edibles.
These became popular. In the last week or so, these 50 milligram Keith pills have become popular.
Right on.
People like to open them up, or they like to just to swallow them, but they like to open them up and put them inside their joint.
Nice.
Yeah, and they like to smoke it.
Seems like a waste of capping them for that, but
But that's all we have today.
awesome, Andrew. And
I've done 25 people today, and everybody walked away here will stay alive. Nobody will die today, and everybody.
they're all very happy.
Everybody will get relief today that I gave edibles to, and nobody's going to die. They're going to go away happy.
Every dose of cannabis that we put out there is one less dose of something else that people would be taking.
It's not like that down here. It should be like that. People should, if they go purchase marijuana, they should walk away happy.
Yeah.
This side of the street is happy. The other side of the street is a mess, like Hastings. It's like a bridge here. There's like a tunnel. You go through the alley, you go to that side of the street on Hastings. It's a mess. You come over here, it's nice.
Yeah.
We'll give you cannabis to get you better.
And we're just
Over
one
there,
block away.
Yeah, we're just 1 block away. Come on over. We'll help you out any way we can.
Very cool.
We want to keep you alive. We don't want to see these ambulances and police cars going here and there all day long. We don't want to see overdoses. We're here to help.
Very cool, Andrew. Your dedication is amazing.
I've been there.
Thank you. You've been there and you've been here for going on 5 years now. So
thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, we're gonna come back on the other side now.
Okay, sure.
All right.
I don't need to put George.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How's it going?
Common respect, okay?
Getting many joints rolled today, so.
Yeah,
Hi, Linda, you're back.
it's been pretty steady for a long time here. This has been our home for 17 months.
Hello.
I think we have squatters' rights now. We're not sure. We've been parked in the same place for all this time, and it's a scene and a half. It's crazy. This is a big story that one day might be told. I don't know. We're telling it to you through Pot TV, but one day the mainstream media should get a hold of this as well. A corrupt government using the criminal law to prevent people from getting access to what is a life-saving medicine during a public health emergency of a tainted drug supply. If that's not a big story, I don't know what else is. But we're here living it right in the middle of it, and we'll see where it goes. But hopefully it's going to go to us eventually getting that permission that we're seeking, that low barrier access community cannabis stores will be a thing. And not just here in Vancouver, but right across Canada and probably around the world, wherever it's necessary that people need access to cannabis, that there should be low barrier access to cannabis. It's such a no-brainer. You want high barrier access, that's fine, but have low barrier access as well. And then we can stop fighting and we can go on living our lives and thinking about what other areas of life we're not free in that we should maybe protest about. But in the meantime, this is the biggest one. This is the area of government prohibition that is the most ludicrous, that makes the least amount of sense, that is causing so much harm in our society, all to protect a bunch of billionaires. This is a real serious crime here. This is an expose of how corrupt our governments are and how corrupt those billionaire corporations are that want to control what we consume and where we get it from and how much we pay for it. And that's not the freedom that we're looking for, that we deserve, and that we're gonna fight till we get it. And that's just all there is to it. And there's a whole bunch of us. There's millions of us, and I know that you're probably one of them. And we're all going to get together. We're all going to keep pushing. We're all going to spend a little bit of time of our days doing something to try to counteract the corporate takeover of our democracy and the corruption that is ensuing as a result of it. So get involved. Be part of the team. Do your own thing. Join with others. Support those that are doing things that are moving us in the right direction. All of those things. Let's have a great 420 this year. Let's bring back our movement. Let's reassemble and refocus and get this job done. We're steps away from it. We've got cannabis stores. We've got what they call legalization. There's lip service being paid to the fact that we're supposed to be free to use cannabis now. Let's hold them to it. Let's make sure the poor people and the sick people, the daily users, get the access that they deserve, that is reasonable and easy enough to attain. And that's our goal, and I hope that's your goal too. The Cannabis Substitution Programs across Canada. I didn't mention Halifax. Chris Backer in Halifax is doing a fantastic job there for over 2 years, handing out care packs to people on the street. We talked with William in London, Ontario, and it's been going on there for they're well over half a year now. Mary McCarty just starting up a new one in Winnipeg. That's going to get some legs because that city really needs it as well. There is a cannabis substitution program run out of Solid in Victoria. There's rumblings of others all around different places in Canada. Support these places. This is the quest for cannabis legalization that we've been fighting for all this time. We don't have it. We were not given legalization that we were fighting for. It's a smokescreen. It's a sham. It should not be supported until it's right. And we need to keep fighting until we get it right. So, come on back. Let's have a great 420. Let's have a great year. Let's legalize cannabis for the poor people and the sick people like they deserve. Let's get back our freedoms that we've been, on the tails of those that have been fighting for freedom for decades and generations. We're still here. We still need to fight for it. We need to honor the efforts of all of those people that have done that before us, and we need to not stop until we get it. Freedom can be obtained. It'll be a much better way to live. Economically, it would be a fantastic boon for us. We need to get it. So keep on fighting. Join the team. And whatever you do, have as much fun as you can, because that's the most important thing in life, no matter what. Don't let all this stuff depress you. Let it be an impetus for having some fun, changing things. That's my advice to you. Have as much fun as you can. Let's change the world. See you next week.